I'm going to read a little bit of Ephesians 6 tonight. Ephesians 6, starting with verse 10. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand firm. Stand therefore, having fastened on the belt of truth, and having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and as shoes for your feet, having put on the readiness given by the gospel of peace. In all circumstances, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming darts of the evil one, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying at all times in the Spirit, with all prayer and supplication. To that end, keep alert, with all perseverance, making supplication for all the saints, and also for me, that words may be given to me, in opening my mouth boldly to proclaim the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chains, that I may declare it boldly as I ought to speak. As Christians, as followers of Jesus, our enemy isn't flesh and blood. We're not fighting against people or politics. What we're fighting against is the spiritual forces that are working in and through the politics, through and in and through the people that are in power or that are in our personal lives, that some of which that are actually being used willingly by forces of evil and darkness, spiritual darkness, and others are doing it in ignorance. But regardless, the strength that we have to fight against this evil, it comes from God. It doesn't come from us. That's why it's so important that we, as it says in verse 10, finally being strong, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. God gives us his whole armor to put on ourselves so that we are able to stand against the schemes of the devil, and so that we can stand. In verse 16 it says, in all circumstances take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming darts of the evil one. So just as our enemy is spiritual and not flesh and blood, our strength and our weapons and our armor are not flesh and blood or physical things or things that we can grab and put on in the flesh. It's the word of God, the faith that we have in him, and prayer. So continue to seek the Lord and keep praying.